Hey, everybody, welcome to another session of It's the Pedagogy for Me. And today's strategy is differentiated instruction. This was supposed to be live streamed on last Monday, but for those of you who know, last Monday was rather cold. And I felt like this would be the best way in order to get the information that I wanted to disseminate to you across. Having had interruptions in internet and just plain being cold and snowed here. So I want to share with you today some information about differentiated instruction. And my whole point here is to point out things that will be in relatable for all of the tests that you see on our screen today, EC 391, PPR 160, and Special Ed 161. The reason why they align through each one is because this is a strategy. This is a teaching strategy. This is part of your lesson plans. This is effective best practices for you to be able to do. And so I wanted to start out by just defining what it actually is. So differentiated instruction is a teaching method in which teachers plan to include your strategies to support the range of different academic background that's in your classroom. And where it really all kinds of starts is that you take this lesson plan, a sequence of information unit, all of that stuff, and you put it into a regular classroom, but then you have all of these different personalities, learning abilities, all of that, all these different things that you have to account for when you're teaching in the classroom. I'm looking for my other part too. So sorry for the disturbance as I search for it. But we want to put all of these things together when we're in the classroom to be most effective. So we're trying to reach everybody in our classroom, not just one particular subset. And a lot of times, the information that's given to us, it's going to give us a little bit that will catch the majority of our students, but it doesn't give us everything. So there are three elements that you need to consider when you're doing differentiated instruction. First of all, is your content. What do you want each of your students to be able to do? The next one is a process. How do you want to engage your students in that particular learning? And the third and final is a product. What students will show for what they have learned at the end of the lesson. So the Texas State curriculum should help to guide us in our content that we're going to teach, regardless of the subject. And we have the ability as classroom teachers to be able to guide our curriculum to fit the mode of the students that are in our classroom. So in essence, to adapt the curriculum to fit and to catch all, okay? So we're doing our best to catch all. And in doing that, I would say my best practice approach to doing this is that you present lessons with at least two of the learning styles being utilized. There are three learning styles in pedagogy in general. I could be an auditory learner, I could be a visual learner, I could be a kinesthetic learner. So my question to you is, do you know your students? Do you know and have you gauged the room? Have you found out how they like to learn or what best methods seem to work for them? And in doing so, that's how you can craft your lesson plans to make sure that you are getting everybody's attention with the material. Now, guarded behavioral issues and all of that kinds of stuff. Not to discard it, but to include it. You're going to have those type of issues in your classroom. I want you to focus so much on that. I want you to focus so much on your plan of action. What are you going to do to grab your students' attention? Hold it so you can disseminate the information that is needed in order for them to be successful on said assessment, your personal ones you make up, or the district or state assessments. That's what I'm trying to impart right here. So I want to kind of focus on several subsets in our classrooms. There are subsets in our classrooms that we need to be conscious of. We need to make certain that we are servicing them properly. And the first one that I'm going to talk to you about today is our gifted and talented students. Our gifted and talented students come to us already having achieved some success. And in order to grow them, we have to not increase the work that they're doing, give them a work packet and all of those kinds of things. But we have to pace our curriculum, their understanding, to match what they need. We need to make sure that we're helping them to create them as well to be critical thinkers. So we want to give them challenges, things that fall within their within regards to choices, within their desired learning. I know there are some things that, you just have to cover when you're in your curriculum. I get that. But there are also ways that you can make sure that they understand it and then move them further along the pendulum so that they are successful, and are also engaging them to want to know more. So when I mentioned choice board a few minutes ago, you're giving them the opportunity to make choices of what they want to learn. You're helping them with utilizing the questioning strategy that we talked about last week, and you're allowing them to be self-directed learners. Okay, so anytime we're self-directed learners, we are finding out things that we want to know most about. That is the most engaging type of learning, in my opinion. I don't have any numbers on that and all of those things, but I think that's the best. The other thing I'm going to say is that a lot of times we talk about making groups and being flexible. And I'm going to say that with this particular population, you might want to consider putting them together, giving them a project to do together, something where they are with their peers of the same ability, so that they are challenging each other's thoughts, but of course in a guided method. Another group that I want to talk about is our strategies for our ELL students. So our English language learners come from different backgrounds, all over, the world, and they come with instruction already, but they're learning the language. And your job as an instructor is to make sure that you help them to grow as well. So we talked about this pendulum for GT students, and we're looking for a certain kind of growth when they're taking these state assessments. We're doing the same with our ELLs, but we're using TELPAS to measure it. Okay, we're also using STAR to measure it as well in the state of Texas. But we want to look at the ELPs and we want to grow them. And some of the strategies that we already know work is them having conversations and introducing them to visuals that they're going to need. And like I said earlier about putting in two modes, having that conversation would be the auditory and adding in the discussion with visuals. Oh, you are, getting up to the top there. And then definitely asking them what they think. I think that it's also great for you to help them to get a command of their vocabulary, the academic language that they're going to need, as well as associating it with cognates that we know from their language might be similar to English. This one I would suggest to be flexible grouping, where you have a range of different students to be able to support in this group. Okay, so just various ways that we can make the life of an ELL student even more enriched in our classroom. And lastly, I want to just point out a few strategies that might help for special education students. So in particular, special education students, we know one of the main things that they have, or one of the main things that is suggested, is this extension of time, giving them more time to process, allowing them the ability to I'll say in my experience, I don't have to have you do 50 problems. If you can do these 10 and do it well, I know you know it. Okay. So in essence, I'm giving them time to complete the task. I'm giving them the opportunity to work in groups. I'm giving them the opportunity to be amongst academic language that may have been confusing, and maybe their peers are able to help them even more than um, what we could even think. I've seen some very enlightening conversations between students of the same ability, as I said, with the GT group and with ELL, where they are all different ability groups. So I'm going to say also with this group, it is helpful to have concrete examples of manipulatives. Be very clear when you're dealing with the content. Some things are very abstract, and I know that it can be hard to scaffold it down to a certain way, but it can be done. And so our job as a generalist educator is to do that, to bring it down to the level in which they can consume it and be able to still have the full breadth of what it is. Right now, off the top of my head, I don't have an example. I will place an example in our Facebook group of what I'm speaking of regarding scaffolding down. But I do want to say that with each one of these particular groups, we are looking to make it centralized to reach them. So if I'm having and I take that back, I do have an idea of an example I want to give. So if I'm teaching students multiplication, and I'll use a math reference, the GT group may have already commanded that skill. So why not turn this into an opportunity for them to talk about how this relates in real world? Give them choices of ways that they would like to model or build a model regarding it. With my ELL students, I'm going to show them some visuals of arrays and repeated addition and those type of measures. With my special ed students, I'm going to make certain that they have a command of the repeated addition, because it is one of the ones, or repeated subtraction, either one you want to do. But I think of repeated addition as a strategy is much more comparable to them, because they've seen it as elementary students over the years. But I say all of that to say that what I just did was an example of taking a basic lesson and then making it fit for all of my students. So I hope today's session was valuable to you. I hope that you walk away with a few keys. If you have any questions, concerns, or you have something that you want to know about your particular subject, please feel free. Feel free to include a comment or ask that question, or reach out to us. I'll have our information available attached to this broadcast later. And I look forward to next Monday and streaming to you live. And our subject coming up is strategies and theories. Have a great day, everyone.